The USS Horizon drifted silently through the void of space. Its massive frame gleamed under the light of distant stars as it carried 5,000 colonists toward their new home. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge, his weathered face reflecting off the reinforced glass as he gazed at the star map. "Crossing into the Vega sector in 3 minutes, Captain," reported navigator Susan Lee from her station. Miller nodded. At 53, he had seen humanity's journey from a single-planet species to a member of the Galactic Confederation. It hadn't been easy. Many species looked down on humans as newcomers, especially the Kralax, who controlled nearly a third of known space. "Status report," Miller called out, a habit from his military days before humanity joined the Confederation 26 years ago. First Officer Kate Murphy responded, "All systems normal. Colonists mostly asleep in their quarters. Engineering reports the drives are running at optimal efficiency." Miller smiled at Murphy. She was young, brilliant, and destined for her own command someday. "Good. Let's hope for an uneventful journey." The universe seemed determined to prove him wrong. The first blast hit without warning. The bridge rocked violently, throwing officers from their stations. Red emergency lights flashed as alarms wailed. "Report," Miller shouted over the chaos. Communications officer Lisa Bowman clung to her console. "3 ships, sir. They appeared out of nowhere. Kralax warships." "Hail them," Miller ordered. Lisa's fingers flew across her panel. "They're not responding to— Wait, incoming transmission." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a Kralax commander. The alien's scaled skin gleamed dark purple under the lights of his ship. 4 yellow eyes narrowed in contempt. "Human vessel," the Kralax said. "I am High Marshal Zrek of the Imperial Fleet. You have violated sacred Kralax space. Prepare to be boarded." Miller stepped forward. "Marshal Zrek, this is Captain John Miller of the colony ship Horizon. We're in neutral territory according to Confederation maps. We carry families, children. Your maps mean nothing." Zrek interrupted. "This sector has belonged to the Kralax since before your species discovered fire." Another blast rocked the ship. Engineer Sam Clark's voice came through the intercom, panic evident. "Captain, they hit our main drive. We can't outrun them." Miller made a quick decision. "All hands, evacuation protocol. Get everyone to the lifeboats." The bridge erupted into action. Murphy coordinated evacuation teams while Miller continued, trying to reason with Zrek. "Marshal, I'm ordering my people to evacuate. According to Confederation law, you must allow safe passage for civilian lifeboats." Zrek's mouth curved into what might have been a smile. "The Confederation is a temporary arrangement, human. One your species will not live to see dissolve." The transmission cut. Miller felt ice in his veins. "Get everyone off this ship now." Throughout the Horizon, crew members guided terrified colonists toward lifeboats. Parents clutched children. Elders were helped by the young, all moving with the desperate energy of prey. In engineering, Sam Clark worked frantically to keep the ship together long enough for evacuation. At 35, the stocky engineer had never seen combat, but he recognized doom when he saw it. "Pressure dropping in sections 12 through 18, shouted his assistant Ben Harris. "They're targeting our structural supports." "Reroute emergency power to the evac routes," Clark ordered. "The lifeboats need to launch before another hit sent them sprawling." Clark pulled himself up, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead. "Get to your lifeboat, Ben. I'll finish here." In the medical bay, Dr. Emma White rushed to prepare the injured for transport. "Take the critical patients first," she told her nurses. "Use the medical lifeboats for anyone who can't move on their own." Security Chief Diane Wallace and her team moved through the corridors, helping stragglers. "Move quickly, but don't panic," she called out, her voice steady despite the situation. "The lifeboats are designed for quick launch." On the bridge, Miller made his final log entry as the ship shuddered around him. "This is Captain John Miller of the USS Horizon. We are under unprovoked attack by Kralax forces in neutral space. I've ordered full evacuation. May whoever finds this log bring our story to the Confederation." He turned to Lisa Bowman, who refused to leave her post. "Send that on all frequencies, then get to your lifeboat. Already transmitting, Captain, she said, tears streaming down her face. But they're jamming most channels. Miller nodded grimly. Then we hope at least one gets through. Go now. Kate Murphy appeared at the door. Captain, all senior staff are at evacuation stations. Your lifeboat is waiting. The first lifeboats launched from the dying ship, small white pods against the blackness of space. Inside one, First Officer Murphy watched through a viewport as more pods ejected from the horizon. Then she saw something that stopped her breath. The Kralak ships were turning, targeting the defenseless lifeboats with precision weapons. No, they can't, she whispered. That's a war crime under Confederation law. But the Kralak ships fired anyway. Lifeboat after lifeboat burst into flames, vaporizing instantly with all souls aboard. In another lifeboat, Sam Clark watched in horror. Without thinking, he activated his engineering recorder, capturing the massacre. His pod, damaged and leaking air, drifted behind debris, somehow overlooked by the Kralaks. They're killing everyone, whispered a young woman beside him, colonist Karen Mitchell. Why are they killing everyone? Clark had no answer as he watched the slaughter continue. Captain Miller never made it to his lifeboat. A final blast tore through the bridge as he helped Lisa Bowman to the exit. His last thoughts were of his crew and the colonists who had trusted him to deliver them safely to their new home. Hours later, in the silence of space, the scattered survivors began to find each other. First Officer Murphy's lifeboat, carrying 12 people, located 3 others using short-range communicators. This is Acting Captain Kate Murphy. She broadcast on a secure channel. Any survivors of the horizon? Respond with your status. Slowly, responses came in. 17 lifeboats in total had escaped the massacre, carrying just 340 of the original 5,000 souls aboard the horizon. In Engineer Clark's lifeboat, hope sparked as they picked up Murphy's signal. Despite the broken heating system and dwindling oxygen, he managed a grim smile. We have evidence, he said, holding up his recorder. And as long as we're alive, this isn't over. Murphy gathered the survivors on a small moon in an uninhabited system. As she looked at their scared, angry faces, she made a vow. The Kralaks think they've eliminated witnesses to their crime, she told them. They're wrong. We survived. And we will make sure the galaxy knows what happened here. Security Chief Wallace stepped forward. They've committed an act of war. Yes, Murphy agreed, her voice hardening. And we're going to make sure they face justice for it. Dr. White looked up from tending the wounded. How? We're stranded, outnumbered, with limited supplies. Murphy's eyes gleamed with determination. Because they made one critical mistake. They struck human lifeboats, and now the galaxy's going to be at war. 2 weeks passed on the small moon. The survivors called it Haven, though it was anything but welcoming with its thin atmosphere and freezing nights. Kate Murphy stood at the entrance of the largest cave they had claimed as their base. She watched as Security Chief Diane Wallace trained a group of colonists with improvised weapons. They're getting better, Murphy said as Dr. Emma White joined her. They need to, Emma replied, her medical kit clutched tightly. We lost 2 more last night. Injuries too severe, not enough supplies. Her eyes were sunken from lack of sleep. Murphy squeezed her shoulder. You did everything you could. Inside the cave, Engineer Sam Clark hunched over a workbench made from lifeboat parts. He had been working non-stop to combine the communications equipment from all 17 lifeboats. Beside him, Karen Mitchell used her knowledge of alien languages to help monitor Kralak's frequencies. Any progress? Murphy asked, approaching them. Clark wiped sweat from his forehead. Maybe. I think I can boost our signal strength by linking all the power cells, but we'll only get 1 shot before they burn out. And we still can't reach beyond this system, Karen added. The Kralaks have set up jamming satellites at every jump point. A young man approached, his face dirty, but his eyes alert. Andrew Hall had been a colonist, only 19 years old, but had shown remarkable skill piloting the damaged lifeboats during their escape. Acting Captain, he said with the formality the survivors had adopted. Scout team is back, they found something. Outside, Peter Woods was helping a limping diplomatic liaison, Greg Scott, from a small scout craft. Scott's face was flushed with excitement despite his injury. A ship, he gasped when he saw Murphy. "We found a ship." "Krelax?" Wallace asked, hand moving to her makeshift weapon. "No," Woods explained. "It's a trading vessel, small, looks damaged, just drifting at the edge of the system." "Could be a trap," Wallace warned. Murphy considered this. "Or our only chance. Andrew, take our best scout craft. You, Wallace, Clark, and I will check it. Out." Hours later, they approached the drifting vessel cautiously. It was indeed small, maybe a quarter the size of a standard lifeboat, with obvious damage to its hull. "Human design," Clark said, surprised. "Old model merchant runner. Probably. Independent." They docked carefully and entered with weapons ready. The ship was dark, running on emergency power. In the cockpit, they found a man slumped over the controls. Wallace checked him quickly. "Alive, but barely," she reported. Back at Haven, Dr. White worked to save the stranger. The survivors gathered around, curious and hopeful. After an hour, Emma emerged from the medical tent. "He'll live," she announced. "Radiation poisoning from a drive leak, but we caught it in time." 2 days later, the man awoke. He called himself Rick Brooks, captain of the independent trading vessel Wanderer. "Krelax hit me too," he explained as he ate his first real meal in days. "I was running supplies to mining stations in the outer sectors. They boarded, took everything, then left me to die when my drive started leaking." "Why would they attack? A single trading vessel?" Murphy wondered. Brooks looked up, his eyes hard. "Because I'm human. Seems they're hitting anything human they can find. Been hearing chatter from other independent ships. It's not just you." The news sent ripples of shock through the survivors. Clark stepped forward with his recorder. "We have proof of what they did to us," he said. "Clear video of them targeting civilian lifeboats." Brooks studied the recording, his face growing darker. "This isn't just an isolated incident. This is systematic." He looked up at Murphy. "You know what this means?" She nodded grimly. "They're testing us, seeing how humans respond to provocations before launching something bigger." In the days that followed, Brooks's strength returned. His ship, the Wanderer, was repaired enough for short jumps. More importantly, it had a communications array not affected by the Krelax jamming. "It uses old frequencies," Brooks explained to Clark. "Pre-Confederation tech, not as fast or clear, but the Krelax don't bother monitoring them." Hope sparked among the survivors. Murphy called a meeting to form a plan. "We need to get Clark's recording to Earth and the Confederation Council," she said. "It's proof of a war crime." "Even with Brooks's ship, we can't all go," Wallace pointed out, "and the Krelax will be watching major routes." "Then we split up," Murphy decided. 2 teams. One takes the Wanderer and makes for Earth space. The other creates a diversion. The survivors argued through the night. In the end, 17 volunteered for the diversion team, to be led by Security Chief Wallace. They would take 2 lifeboats and head toward a nearby Confederation outpost, drawing attention away from the Wanderer. The night before departure, Murphy found Clark sitting alone outside the cave, looking at the stars. "Thinking about home?" she asked. He nodded. "My daughter, she's 8. Her mother died 2 years ago. My parents are raising her while I was supposed to set up our new life." His voice broke. "She doesn't even know if I'm alive." "We'll get back," Murphy promised, "and we'll make the Krelax pay for what they've done." Morning came too quickly. As the teams prepared to depart, Dr. White approached Murphy with a sealed container. "We found this in one of the lifeboats," she said quietly. "It's a cryopod. Damaged but functional. There's someone inside." Murphy's eyes widened. "A survivor? All this time?" They gathered around as Clark carefully examined the pod. "It's Tactical Officer Eric Johnson," he said in shock. "Life signs stable but weak." "Why was he in cryo?" Wallace asked suspiciously. Dr. White checked the pod's logs. "He put himself in after sustaining injuries. The pod was ejected automatically during the attack." "We can't wait to revive him," Murphy decided. "Brooks, can your ship support the pod?" Brooks nodded. "Just barely. But if he's tactical, he might have information we need." The diversion team left first. Wallace led them toward the Confederation outpost, their lifeboats broadcasting distress signals on all frequencies. As expected, Kralak's patrol ships quickly changed course to intercept. Hours later, the Wanderer slipped away from Haven, carrying Murphy, Clark, Brooks, Dr. White, and the cryopod with Johnson. Karen Mitchell came too, her knowledge of Kralak's language deemed essential. As they cleared the system and prepared for their first jump, Brooks received a transmission on his old-style communicator. It was Wallace. They took the bait. Her voice crackled through static. 2 cruisers in pursuit. We'll keep them busy as long as we can. Good luck, Murphy replied, knowing they might never see their friends again. The Wanderer jumped, vanishing into the darkness between stars. On board, Murphy looked at the small group that carried humanity's evidence of Kralak's treachery. First stop, Brooks said, setting coordinates, is Outpost 7. I have contacts there who hate the Kralaks as much as we do now. Then what? Asked Clark. Murphy's face hardened with resolve. Then we build an alliance. Because the Kralaks have just started a war they're going to regret. The Wanderer dropped out of jump space near Outpost 7, a small mining station built into an asteroid. Kate Murphy looked out the viewport at the sprawling collection of habitats and docking bays. It wasn't much, but after weeks hiding on Haven, it seemed like a metropolis. Keep communications silent, Rick Brooks ordered as he piloted toward a distant docking arm. This place is officially Confederation territory, but half the people here sell information to anyone with credits. Will your contacts meet us? Clark asked, still monitoring the cryopod containing Eric Johnson. Brooks nodded. If they're still alive. The Kralaks have been increasing patrols everywhere. They docked at an isolated bay, paying extra for privacy. Dr. White immediately began setting up equipment to safely revive Johnson from cryosleep. It's risky, she warned. The pod was damaged. He might not wake up right away, or at all. Murphy made the call. We need whatever information he has. Do it. Brooks left to find his contacts while Murphy, Clark, and Karen Mitchell guarded the ship. 2 hours passed before Brooks returned with 3 aliens. A tall, thin Tholian with iridescent skin, a stocky Meridian with 4 arms, and a small feathered Voxian. This is Seleth, Brooks introduced the Tholian. And Dorn and Crix. They've all lost ships, crews, or family to Kralak's attacks. Seleth spoke in a musical voice. Brooks says you have proof of Kralak's crimes against your people. Clark played the recording. The aliens watched in silence as the Kralak ships methodically destroyed lifeboat after lifeboat. This is not surprising, Dorn the Meridian rumbled. The Kralaks have been expanding aggressively for decades, but this open violation of Confederation law? They're testing boundaries, Crix chirped, feathers ruffling in agitation, seeing what they can get away with. A groan from the medical area interrupted them. Johnson was awake. Dr. White helped the tactical officer sit up. His face was gaunt, eyes unfocused. Captain Miller? He asked weakly. Dead, Murphy said gently. I'm acting Captain Murphy now. The horizon was destroyed, Johnson. Most of our people are gone. Johnson closed his eyes in pain. I remember I was running analyses on the Kralak ships. They appeared too suddenly, too perfectly positioned. His voice strengthened. It wasn't random, they were waiting for us. Clark frowned. How could they know our course? It was classified. Because someone told them, Johnson said. I found communications evidence right before the attack. Someone in the Confederation leaked our route to the Kralaks. The revelation stunned everyone into silence. This changes everything, Murphy finally said. If there are Kralak sympathizers in the Confederation, it means your evidence might never reach those who need to see it, Seleth finished. Brooks pounded his fist on a table. Then we need to make sure everyone sees it, not just Confederation officials. The group spent hours planning. Johnson gradually regained his strength and shared what he had discovered. The Kralaks have been quietly testing human military response for months. Small provocations, missing scout ships, disputed territories. Why? Humans specifically? Karen asked. Because we're new to the Confederation but growing quickly, Murphy realized. They see us as a future threat. Crix the Voxian spoke up. There is a major Krelax communication hub 3 systems from here. If we could access it, we could broadcast your evidence across all Confederation channels simultaneously. That's suicide, Clark objected. Not necessarily, Johnson said, his tactical mind working. If we had the right team, the right approach. Murphy made another difficult decision. We split up again. Johnson, you lead a team with Karen and Crix to infiltrate the hub. Brooks, Clark, and I will continue toward Earth space with the evidence as backup. What about me? Asked Dr. White. You go with Johnson. They'll need a medic. Dorn offered his ship for Johnson's team, while Seleth provided valuable intelligence about Krelax patrol patterns. In less than a day, they were ready. 48 hours, Murphy told Johnson as they said goodbye. If you haven't broadcast by then, we proceed with our original plan. Johnson nodded grimly. We'll get it done. The teams departed Outpost 7 separately. Johnson's group headed toward the Krelax hub while the Wanderer slipped away toward Confederation space. 3 days later, Murphy's team encountered a Confederation patrol near the Procyon system. They were immediately detained. You claim to be survivors of the Horizon? Asked Commander Alan Ford, a stern-faced officer. That ship was reported lost with all hands weeks ago. No distress calls, no survivors. Because the Krelax jammed our signals and destroyed our lifeboats, Murphy insisted. We have proof. Ford looked skeptical but agreed to review Clark's recording. His expression grew grave as he watched. This is disturbing, but I need to verify its authenticity. You'll remain under protective custody until then. Protective custody? Clark exploded. The Krelax murdered 5,000 civilians. They're planning more attacks. I understand your anger, Ford said calmly. But there are protocols. An alarm blared through the Confederation ship. A communications officer burst into the room. Sir, emergency broadcast on all channels. Someone's overridden the main network. On the view screen, the recording of the Horizon massacre began playing. It was followed by Johnson's voice. To all citizens of the Galactic Confederation. What you are witnessing is the deliberate destruction of civilian lifeboats by Krelax military forces. 5,000 innocent colonists were murdered. This was not an isolated incident. The Krelax have been systematically targeting human vessels as part of a larger plan. Additional footage appeared, showing other attacks on human ships. The broadcast continued for 10 minutes before cutting off abruptly. Johnson did it, Murphy whispered. Commander Ford's demeanor changed instantly. Get me Confederation command, he ordered. Priority Alpha. Within hours, the news spread throughout Confederation space. Humans everywhere demanded answers, action. On Earth, emergency sessions of government convened. The Krelax ambassador to the Confederation issued an immediate statement claiming the footage was fabricated, a human plot to justify military expansion. Several major Confederation species, dependent on Krelax trade, urged caution and investigation. But smaller species, many who had suffered Krelax aggression themselves, rallied behind humanity. Ambassador Frank Bailey, Earth's representative to the Confederation, addressed the AI Council. The evidence is irrefutable. This was not just an attack on a single ship, this was a test to see how we would respond to systematic extermination. His voice rose with controlled anger. Today, we answer that test. Earth demands justice for the murdered colonists of the Horizon. We demand accountability. As Bailey spoke, Murphy, Clark, and Brooks watched from a secure room in Confederation headquarters. They had made it. The truth was out. But the price had been high. Any word from Johnson's team? Clark asked. Murphy shook her head. Nothing since the broadcast. A Confederation intelligence officer named Laura Taylor entered the room. The Krelax hub went dark immediately after the transmission. We don't know if your friends escaped. Brooks placed a hand on Murphy's shoulder. They knew the risks. Murphy nodded, her face set with determination. And they've just changed the galaxy forever. The halls of Earth's government buildings buzzed with activity. 1 week had passed since the broadcast of the Horizon massacre. President Olivia Ross sat at the head of the Emergency Council table, her face grave as she listened to military advisors. The Kralax have moved their border fleets to full battle readiness, reported Admiral Paul Martinez, pointing to a holographic map showing red dots clustered near human space. They deny the accusations but are clearly preparing for conflict. Kate Murphy and Sam Clark sat further down the table. As survivors, they had been asked to provide testimony. Now they watched as humanity decided how to respond to the attack. What about the Confederation? President Ross asked. Will they support us? Ambassador Bailey shook his head. The Council remains divided. Many of the larger powers have extensive trade agreements with the Kralax. They're calling for more investigation, which effectively means delay. While they delay, the Kralax prepare, Admiral Martinez said bluntly. President Ross stood, silencing the room. Then we will protect ourselves. Admiral, initiate Defense Protocol Alpha. Ambassador, inform the Confederation that Earth considers the attack on the Horizon an act of war. A cheer went up from many in the room. Murphy felt no joy, only the weight of what was coming. Later, in a smaller meeting room, Admiral Martinez briefed Murphy, Clark, and other key personnel. The good news is we're not alone, he said. Several species have pledged support against the Kralax. The Arcturians are providing weapon upgrades for our ships. The Tellarites have offered troops. Not enough against the Kralax fleet, Clark said. Their military is 3 times our size. Which is why we need information, the Admiral replied. Murphy, your first-hand knowledge of their tactics during the Horizon attack is valuable. And Clark, I understand you're an expert on Kralax technology from your engineering work. Clark nodded. I studied their shield systems for years. Then you'll both join the planning staff for Operation Longbow, our first major offensive. The door opened, and Rick Brooks entered with a surprise. Security Chief Diane Wallace. Murphy rushed to embrace her. You made it, she exclaimed. What about the others from the diversion team? Wallace's expression darkened. 8 of us survived. The Kralax captured the rest. Brooks stepped forward. I found her at a border outpost. But that's not all. He gestured to someone outside, and a group of rough-looking men and women entered. This is my old crew, independent captains, engineers, pilots, all with ships ready to fight. Admiral Martinez looked skeptical. Civilian vessels against Kralax warships? Modified civilian vessels, Brooks corrected with a grin. Faster than military ships, harder to detect. Perfect for hit-and-run tactics. While Earth prepared for war, Johnson's fate remained unknown. The Kralax communication hub had gone silent after the broadcast with no sign of survivors. But 3 weeks later, as Murphy was reviewing tactical plans, a communication officer burst into the room. Ma'am, we've got an encrypted message on an old frequency. They're asking for you by name. Murphy rushed to the communications center. The message was audio only, filled with static, but the voice was unmistakable. Murphy, it's Johnson. We're alive. Hiding on a moon in the Sirius system. Kralax patrols everywhere. Need extraction. A rescue mission was quickly planned. Brooks volunteered his ship with Murphy, Clark, and Wallace joining the team. They slipped past Kralax patrols using Brooks' knowledge of unmonitored routes. They found Johnson, Dr. White, and Karen Mitchell hiding in an abandoned mining facility. Crix the Voxian had not survived the escape from the hub. We got more than just the broadcast out, Johnson said after they were safely away. We downloaded Kralax battle plans. They're planning simultaneous strikes on 3 human colonies. The information was rushed to Earth. Admiral Martinez immediately dispatched warning signals to the threatened colonies and organized defensive fleets. The first real battle of the war was about to begin. At the Deneb colony, Captain Ryan Cooper commanded the hastily assembled defense fleet. When the Kralax warships emerged from jump space, they expected to find an unprepared settlement. Instead, they faced a ready human fleet with Arcturian weapon upgrades. The battle was fierce, but ended in a surprising human victory. The news spread quickly through Confederation space. Humans had successfully defended against a superior Kralax force. Similar scenarios played out at the other two targeted colonies. The Kralax, expecting easy victories, were repelled with heavy losses. For the first time, the mighty Kralax military had been defeated in open combat. On Earth, the victories boosted morale, but Admiral Martinez remained cautious. "They underestimated us," he told the War Council. "They won't make that mistake again." He was right. The Kralax High Command deployed their elite Crimson Fleet, their most powerful warships with their best commanders. The human colony on Tau Ceti was their first target. Despite heroic resistance, the colony fell after a 3-day battle. The Kralax broadcast images of the conquered world across Confederation channels as a warning. In response, Wallace, now commanding Special Forces, led a daring raid on a Kralax supply depot. Her team destroyed vital resources and escaped without casualties. The message was clear: humans would not be intimidated. As the conflict spread, more species were forced to choose sides. The Arcturians and Tellarites formally allied with Earth. The powerful Centauri remained neutral, while the Orions sided with the Kralax, citing ancient treaties. Clark worked day and night with engineering teams, developing countermeasures against Kralax shield technology. During one test, he made a breakthrough. "Their shields operate on oscillating frequencies," he explained to Murphy and Admiral Martinez. "If we time our weapons fire to match the fluctuations, we can penetrate their defenses with a fraction of the normal power." This discovery led to the first major human offensive. A fleet of 30 ships led by Murphy, now promoted to captain of the destroyer USS Vindicator, struck a Kralax military outpost. Using Clark's shield-penetrating technique, they destroyed the outpost with minimal losses. The war settled into a pattern of strikes and counterstrikes. Neither side could gain a decisive advantage, but humanity was holding its own against the supposedly superior Kralax. In a secure room on Earth, President Ross met with her closest advisors. "We can't win a war of attrition," she said plainly. "The Kralax have more ships, more resources. We need to change the game." Admiral Martinez placed a data chip on the table. "I believe we have a way. A high-risk operation targeting the Kralax homeworld itself. Not to destroy it," Murphy added quickly, "but to bring this war to their leadership's doorstep." President Ross studied the plan. "What do you call this operation?" Murphy's expression was solemn. "Operation Lifeboat, for those who never had a chance to escape the horizon.